हेलो, गुड मॉर्निंग एंड अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू। आप सभी का स्वागत है हमारे चैनल पर। माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, इन दिस वीडियो लेक्चर वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट अ वेरी important concept of teaching aptitude which is going to be asked in your exam. It is one of the most foundational concept of teaching aptitude, which is methods of teaching. If you go through previous year question papers, you will find a lot of questions. So आज के इस वीडियो लेक्चर में हम भी आधा दर्जन क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करेंगे. ओके, फर्स्ट वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट द कॉन्सेप्ट, देन वी शेल solve a lot of PYQs to check on our knowledge, the recent PYQs, and you can tell me whether I am audible, there is no technical glitch. Then we shall start. So we have with us Neeti, Bidhan, then Mahesh, and I can see other people also joining. So do let me know that I am audible, there is no technical glitch. Then we shall start. So when we look at previous year question papers, they ask you which among the following are students centric or teacher centric method. Okay, what are the characteristics of teacher centric method? So these type of very easy questions, sometimes statement based conceptual questions are also being asked. So let us begin. So my dear students, when we talk about methods of teaching, okay, we should also learn why do we need to learn about it. My foundational questions remains the same in all the lectures. ठीक है, since eternity, जब से आप कह लीजिए इस संसार की संरचना हुई है, देयर हैज बीन टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस. ओके, पीपल हैव बीन टीचिंग अदर, पीपल हैव बीन गेनिंग नॉलेज. ओके, बट इफ आई आस्क यू विच इज द बेस्ट मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग, पीपल से ना दैट हिज और हर मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग इज गुड और ग्रेट. मैं उससे ज़्यादा अच्छा समझ पाती हूँ, या इस तरह से पढ़ाने से उनको अच्छे से समझ आएगा. सो इफ आई आस्क यू, डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आई कांट सी योर कॉमेंट्स. काइंडली डू लेट मी नो वेदर आई एम ऑडिबल, देयर इज नो टेक्निकल ग्लिच. If there is any problem, kindly let me know. I'll fix it because I can't see any comment. Hello everybody. Hello. Is it live or not? Because I can see few people live. Hello everybody. ऑल क्लियर. ठीक है, चलिए. तो जब हम बात करते हैं, इफ आई आस्क यू विच इज द बेस्ट मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग, कैन देयर बी अ सिंगल क्वेश्चन टू दिस? देयर आर डाइवर्स लर्निंग आउटकम्स, देयर आर डाइवर्स कैटेगरीज ऑफ लर्नर्स. सो हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू नो अबाउट इट? इट्स लाइक अ टूल बॉक्स. ठीक है, जिस तरह से एक मैकेनिक का टूल बॉक्स होता है ना, उसमें बड़े सारे औजार होते हैं, स्क्रू ड्राइवर होता है, और भी कितनी सारी चीज़ें होती है. उसी तरीके से methods of teaching, these are several tools of teaching. If you look at it, when we look at lecture method, we look at flipped classroom, we look at, let's say, heuristic method, okay, or you might say panel discussion, group discussion. One thing is that there is a value laden idea that this method is better than this. ठीक है, a lot of educators, they say that in lecture method, अब अभी हम पढ़ेंगे इन सारी चीज़ों के बारे में, a teacher is like a dictator. No, it is not. It is relevant to a particular kind of learning outcome. You have, let's say, 100 students, you have to teach 100 students together. How are you going to use a student centric method? You have to use learning, let's say, lecture method, because it is conducive to a certain environment. You have 50 students in a classroom. Okay, so every method has to be seen from a perspective of particular learning situation, learning outcome, learning goals, learning objectives. Okay, what are the diverse learners we are having? Let's say we have several people of several age groups. So हमें अपने टूल बॉक्स में से कोई और लर्निंग मेथड निकालना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, इफ यू लुक एट हिस्टोरिकल एवोल्यूशन, देयर हैव बीन सेवरल टीचिंग मेथड्स. सो दिस फोटोग्राफ इज ऑफ एकलव्य. ठीक है, दिस इज, आई एम गिविंग यू अ वेरी रेलिवेंट मैथोलॉजिकल रेफरेंस टू इट. सो बाय द एंड ऑफ दिस लेक्चर, यू टेल मी विच काइंड ऑफ टीचिंग मेथड दिस एकलव्य इज यूजिंग. यू नो दिस स्टोरी. दिस person, he wanted to gain knowledge from a very let's say Guru Dronacharya. ठीक है, archery, but he didn't belong to that caste, but he learnt on his own. If I ask you by the end of this lecture, you tell me in the comment box which kind of teaching method did he use. So if we look at historical evolution, several philosophers have been talking about best method of teaching, which one is the best technique of teaching. If you look at Socrates, Plato, okay, every philosopher have talked about this thing. So but the instructor or the trainer, he or she has to decide which method is going to be more conducive to our teaching environment. Okay, we shouldn't be adding associating these values कि भाई teacher is dictator, teacher is facilitator. We should look at it very objectively. Let's say you have 50 people in a classroom, you have to create it in a standardized manner because you don't have resources for it. Okay, so it's like teaching methods are tools. Say you have a toolbox and you have to pick the best tool to solve that problem. Okay, so instructor should identify which teaching method will properly support a particular learning outcome. Its effectiveness depends on this alignment. So an instructor should consider learning outcomes. ये एक बार क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है आपसे ना PYQ में. We have also prepared a PYQ test of this topic of last all the 6-7 years. So how should a learner decide which teaching method should be used? Okay, so when we look at it, there are several approaches. We are just from UGC NET perspective. I think it is sufficient if somebody is in education or pedagogy studies, they learn about more teaching approaches. So teacher centered and learner centered. Okay, there are two approaches. We shall keep ourselves grounded to these two approaches. So the emphasis, as the name suggests, is on instructor. So the center of focus in teaching learning environment in teacher centered methods is the teacher, educator, instructor. Emphasizes the instructor as the primary source of knowledge dissemination. Students are usually passively receiving information. आप जैसे देख सकते हैं इसमें जो पैसिव लिसनर्स होते हैं स्टूडेंट्स, उनके पास ज़्यादा स्कोप नहीं होता बात करने का. ठीक है, द इंस्ट्रक्टर्स रोल इज़ टू बी प्राइमरी इंफॉर्मेशन गिवर एंड प्राइमरी इवैल्यूएटर. जो एजुकेटर का रोल होता है वो ज़्यादा होता है. इफ़ यू लुक एट इट हिस्टोरिकली, दिस हैज़ बीन a seed of industrial revolution. So now, like everything, na industrial revolution where things has to be standardized because everything has to be seen from a commodity point of view. जैसे हमने कल्चरल थ्योरीज पढ़ी थी. ठीक है, उसमें आर्ट इज ऑल्सो कमोडिटी. ऑल द फिल्म्स हैज टू बी स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड लाइक अ जीन्स. अगर आप बड़े सारे डिज़ाइन बनाओगे तो आपको बहुत सारा पैसा खर्च करना पड़ेगा हर डिज़ाइन पे. यू क्रिएटेड वन डिज़ाइन ऑफ जीन्स, नाउ इट इज स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड. इन अ सिमिलर फैशन एजुकेशन is also standardized. Okay, because you have to teach 100 students together, so you have to create standardized curriculum which has to be, everybody has to be assessed standard in a standardized manner. Okay, try to think about it from that perspective also. So the instructor's role is to be the primary information giver. Teachers and professors act as sole suppliers of knowledge. ठीक है, here the केंद्र की जो हम बात करते हैं इस प्रोसेस में वो लर्नर होता है. ये 19th सेंचुरी में इसके ऊपर बात करना ज़्यादा शुरू हो गई थे लोग, और अभी खासकर जो NEP है, न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, वो भी लर्नर सेंटर्ड अप्रोचेस को ज़्यादा तवज्जो देता है. इट प्रायोरिटाइजेस स्टूडेंट्स नीड, इंटरेस्ट एंड एक्टिव इन्वॉल्वमेंट इन लर्निंग प्रोसेसेस. लर्निंग इज़ अ डायनेमिक प्रोसेस. लर्निंग कीप्स ऑन गोइंग, कभी ख़त्म नहीं होती. डायनेमिक प्रोसेस का मतलब है कि कॉन्टीन्यूस प्रोसेस है. ठीक है, लर्नर्स एक्टिवली एंगेज, रिफ्लेक्ट एंड कंस्ट्रक्ट मीनिंगफुल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. सो इट इंक्लूड्स मैनिपुलेशन. इसमें रचनात्मक होता है जो लर्नर होता है, उसके पास स्कोप होता है. ठीक है, ही और शी रिफ्लेक्ट्स, कंस्ट्रक्ट्स, ऑल दो कोलैबोरेट्स. ठीक है, देयर इज इट्स डायलॉजिक, देयर इज अ फोकस ऑन डायलॉग. देन लेट अस लर्न अबाउट सम टीचर सेंटर्ड मेथड्स. सो फर्स्ट इज लेक्चर मेथड. ठीक है, जो बहुत ही कॉमन है दीज डेज. मैंने आपको बताया इसके पीछे एक हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी है. इट इज़ अ स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड फॉर्म ऑफ teaching technique. You have to teach, let's say, 50 students together. Okay, so you are going to create a standardized curriculum. You are going to create a standardized evaluation techniques. So in this lecture method, teachers share organized information with students in a traditional way. It is useful for teaching large groups. Okay, but it may not engage learners or assess their understanding effectively. Efficient for large groups. structured content, delivery, time saving, and disadvantages, it's the learner is passive listener, वो सुनता ज़्यादा है, ठीक है. Then demonstration method, what is the difference between demonstration and lecture method? In lecture method the lecture is more of verbal, ठीक है, वो ज़्यादा पढ़ाता है, मौखिक होता है. डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन में आप उसको करके दिखाते हो. लेट्स से देयर इज अ क्लास ऑन फोटोग्राफी, सो लेक्चर मेथड इज व्हेन द टीचर इज explaining what is photography, what are different parts of camera, okay, what are different elements of exposure, writing on the board. Demonstration method would be when he is going to or she is going to click the photograph, demonstrate how camera is operated, okay, how are you going to, let's say if you are going to use the film camera, how are you going to load the reel. So this is also a teacher centered method. It involves showing students how to do something through step-by-step process. Did you understand the difference between lecture and demonstration method? Unlike the lecture method where you verbally deliver a lecture, you show them how to perform a task. It advantages clear visualization. Disadvantages that you need a lot of resources. Like you have to have all those resources. Okay? Then team teaching where more than 2 teachers they are involved, okay, and they have distributed their roles and responsibilities. So team teaching involves a group of instructors working purposefully, regularly and cooperatively to help students of any age learn. Teachers together, इसमें क्या है कि there are set of goals distributed among themselves. So let's say in this particular photograph, she is going to teach the students and she is demonstrating. Okay, so she might be taking all the theory and the other teacher is demonstrating, or it might be that one teacher is demonstrating the skill and other teacher is taking doubts. Okay, so teacher together sets goals for a course. Let's say she might say that I am going to deliver the lecture, you assess them, you evaluate them, okay, or you take feedback, or you just observe what are the learning difficulties they are facing, you diagnose. हमने लास्ट क्लास में डायग्नोस्टिक इवैल्यूएशन के बारे में बात किया था ना. इन टीम टीचिंग मोर देन 2 टीचर्स प्लान एंड टीच द सेम क्लास एज पर देयर एक्सपर्टीज. ओके, देन अनदर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर्म ऑफ टीचर सेंटर्ड मेथड इज टीवी वीडियो प्रेजेंटेशन मेथड. पीपल ऑफन गेट कंफ्यूज्ड, उनको लगता है कि स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड है. नो, ठीक है. सो इफ यू लुक एट हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट, इंडिया की बात करूँ, साइट एक्सपेरिमेंट, ओके, टेलीविजन एज इंस्ट्रक्शनल टीचिंग एड जिसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे. सो अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स किंडरगार्टन स्टूडेंट्स और लेट्स से students who are in let's say KG pre-nursery schools, we show them TV video presentations because it has a lot of scope of creativity through graphics, through what do we call it, visual aids. Okay, a lot of things which cannot be delivered verbally can be shown. Okay, so TV video presentation method involves using pre-recorded or live television video programs as a teaching tool. It integrates visual and auditory media to enhance understanding and engagement in the learning process. Audio visual medium, ठीक है, pre-recorded content. तो जब आप इन रिकॉर्डेड कंटेंट का यूज़ करते हो, बहुत बारी आप उनको इंडिपेंडेंस डे की परेड दिखा रहे हो या आप उनको बता रहे हो कि कौन काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स के बारे में समझा रहे हो, ठीक है, उस तरह की चीज़ें. इट इज़ ऑल्सो अ टीचर सेंटर्ड मेथड. देन नाउ लेट अस लुक एट सम लर्नर सेंटर्ड मेथड्स. फर्स्ट इज डिस्कशन मेथड. सो if very important thing is that the teacher centered method, it is also called deductive teaching. Why deductive teaching? Because you are going from general to particular, you are teaching them a theory, okay, and then they are going to a conclusion. Learner centered method, they are inductive, it starts from the students, take a particular, and then we are going to come at a conclusion. So learner centered are inductive teaching methods. ठीक है, चलिए. डिस्कशन मेथड. डिस्कशन इज अ टीचिंग मेथड वेयर स्टूडेंट्स कम टुगेदर इन अ ग्रुप. सो इट ऑल स्टार्ट्स विद डिस्कशन. टीचर सेज लेट मी ओपन दिस फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. So we are going to learn about let's say we are going to learn about fundamental rights or constitution. You guys tell me what do you think about it. Or let's say, do you think that there should be death penalty or not. So it's a discussion method. Discussion method is a teaching method where students come together in a group to talk about a topic. They share what they know, exchange ideas, express their opinions. It's more dialogic, okay, more dialogue based. This helps everyone in the group to understand the topic better because they learn from each other. And teacher plays the role of a facilitator, okay, that if they are diverging from the topic, he or she make sure that they are discussing about the topic only. कभी कभार थोड़ी सी लड़ाइयाँ भी हो सकती है, so उन सब चीज़ों को maintain करता है teacher. It's like a collective conversation where participants contributes their knowledge and views, making it a more collaborative learning experience. Then brainstorming. So what is brainstorming? You must have heard about this term called mind mapping. Okay, we are going to discuss about it in the next class also. Mind mapping. So let's say you have you have a particular topic in your mind. Okay, let's say you want to discuss about the effects of social media on the mental health of children. You want to take this project. So you are going to ask students, let us mind map this social media and mental health. What comes into your mind? You just throw words, I am going to create a tree. Okay, so it is a collaborative process where everybody, so somebody is saying mental health, anxiety, or some might say that beauty standards. Okay, people are throwing words on you. Okay, somebody said with mental health and social media, so beauty standards, people are posting a lot of photographs, so people are feeling pressurized to post their own photographs. Other person is saying rich life. Okay, all these things. So brainstorming में क्या है कि आपने एक टॉपिक बताया बच्चों को कि आज हम बात करेंगे सोशल मीडिया और मेंटल हेल्थ पे उसका क्या प्रभाव है, हम देखना चाहते हैं, हम एक प्रोजेक्ट लेते हैं. सो आपने बोला कि आपके जहन में क्या आता है. किसी बच्चे ने बोला कि सर मेंटल हेल्थ और सोशल मीडिया के ब्यूटी स्टैंडर्ड्स, ये बड़े ही अननेचुरलिस्टिक ब्यूटी स्टैंडर्ड्स डिफाइन कर रहा है, जिसमें एवरीबडी हैज़ टू लुक फ्लॉलेस. So the skin has to be flawless, the body types has to be flawless, the clothes has to be flawless, the hair has to be flawless, everything has to be flawless. Okay, you might have seen this phenomena. Other person is saying that it is creating unnecessary relationship goals, like everything has to be perfect. On social media you see all these things na? Everybody is giving one output. Let's say beauty standard was one, then family goals. Okay, somebody is saying that a lot of pressure to get successful in their life at an early stage, all these things. So that's how a brainstorming is done. A mind mapping is being created. It is a method to quickly generate a lot of creative ideas by encouraging everyone to share their thoughts without judgment. Very important thing is that it has to be without judgment. ठीक है, you shouldn't judge anybody. किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया ऐसा तो उसके ऊपर सबके सब चढ़ गए. ठीक है, it is a collaborative process. All ideas, even the crazy ones, are welcome. These ideas are written down as they come. So there is no filtration. ठीक है, it is very very raw. ठीक है, it shouldn't be value laden. ये कैसे बोल दिया, ठीक है, whatever is coming we are going to just put it on the tree. Mind mapping. Then we are going to filter them out. Later the ideas can be discussed and evaluated to find the best ones. Brainstorming works well with many people and doesn't take much time, but it's important not to let it go on for too long, as people might lose interest. So it's a very interesting student centric method. Then role play. So people act out certain scenarios, very relevant when we talk about real life application. Let's say you want to teach students about first aid, अगर किसी को चोट लग गई है, या let's say traffic rules, all these things. So people act out. ठीक है, people take roles. So somebody can play the role of a nurse, somebody can act as if he or she has been wounded. Okay, so students act out scenarios to understand concepts. It is an experimental learning technique that involves students acting out a role in a simulated real world situation, but simulated technique is different. ठीक है, अभी मैं उसके बारे में बात करूँगा. Role play can be effective teaching strategy for a variety of subjects including social sciences, nursing. ठीक है, आप medical science की बात कर रहे हैं हम, या even many times in sports also. ठीक है, it talks about real life situation scenarios. Now let us talk about what is simulation. Can anybody tell me what is simulation in a line or two? So a lot of times, let me give you example of driving, car driving. ठीक है, so before somebody a car is a weapon. Okay, if it comes under the hands of a person who is not trained, he or she might kill people. Okay, and it is very expensive also. So before giving somebody a car to drive on the road, you can simulate that experience. Okay, you create realistic scenarios through technology. Or let's say if somebody wants to learn how to fly a plane, you cannot give that person a plane. It has to go, he or she has to go through a rigorous training, and it is not कि आपके पास plane चलाने के लिए मतलब सिर्फ practice के लिए planes हैं. ठीक है, उस तरह के planes भी नहीं होते होंगे. So you create a simulated environment. ये देखो जिस तरह से एक गाड़ी का simulated environment है. ठीक है, it is एक्चुअली वेरी रिफ्लेक्टिव. जो रिफ्लेक्सेस हैं, जो स्टेयरिंग है, ठीक है, वो बिल्कुल गाड़ी की ही तरह काम कर रहे हैं. पहले वो सिमुलेटेड एनवायरनमेंट में इसको अप्लाई करेगा, लर्न करेगा, उसके बाद वो रियल लाइफ में जाएगा. ठीक है, सो द सिमुलेशन मेथड इन्वॉल्व्स क्रिएटिंग रियलिस्टिक सिनेरियोज और एनवायरनमेंट्स वेयर learners can actively engage, experiment and learn by mimicking real life processes, imitates real life challenges and experiences, allows learners to practice without real world risk. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, आई टोल्ड यू ना दैट अ कार इज जस्ट लाइक अ वेपन. इफ इट कम्स अंडर द हैंड्स ऑफ अ पर्सन हु इज नॉट ट्रेन्ड, ही और शी माइट किल पीपल. अब अगर एक बहुत बड़ी कन्फ्यूजन होती है इनिशियली, लोग ब्रेक और एक्सीलरेटर में कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं. जहाँ ब्रेक मारनी चाहिए, बहुत बारी लोग ऐसे बहुत बार देखा गया है, अगर लोग ट्रेन नहीं है, कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन आएगी कि एकदम से कोई आगे आ रहा है, इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रेसिंग द ब्रेक दे प्रेस द क्लच, क्लच कह रहा हूँ, एक्सीलरेटर. तो वहाँ तो और घातक हो सकता है. ठीक है, सो यू क्रिएट अ सिमुलेटेड एनवायरनमेंट इन विच दे प्रैक्टिस इट, provides hands-on experience on real life relevant examples. So it is very important, remember this. Then personalized instruction. So a lot of time, as the name suggests, the course instructions or the course is structured on individual preferences, individual demands. So you hire a instructor. Let's say you want to learn guitar. Okay, so you have already learned the basics of guitars and you want to learn it on your own pace. So the learning experience is going to be tailor made on the basis, or let's say on the requirements of the learner. Okay, so personalized instructions tailors teaching strategies, materials and learning pace to meet the individual needs. Okay, but it is very expensive, mind it. You have to hire a lot of resources. You have to engage a full-time instructor who is going to design it for you. Focuses on learner-centered customization, emphasizes individual progress and goals, often supported by technology for adaptive learning, addresses diverse learning needs and abilities, promotes self-paced. अगर आपसे पूछे which among the following is best for self-paced learning, it is personalized instructions. ठीक है, then heuristic method. So if I tell you this is learning by doing, it's a very interesting concept, learning by doing. You start to learn by doing. So you don't know how to write a research proposal. Nobody knows about it because we are not taught about it. I have been reiterating about it, that it's learning by doing. You start doing it, you reflect back upon it. मैंने क्या गलती करी, आप कहीं प्रेजेंट करते हो, आपको वहाँ से गलतियाँ पता लगती है, आप उसको ठीक करते हो. So heuristic method is learning by doing. It is a method discovery based learning approach where students learn by exploring. You do it again and again. ठीक है, now you find okay this is the mistake. You paint again and again. You find कि अच्छा यहाँ मैंने गलती कर दी. ठीक है, you play a musical instrument. It's learning by doing, by experimenting, by manipulating. So heuristic method is a discovery based learning approach where students learn by exploring, experimenting, finding solutions on their own with minimal teacher intervention. So you can take, let's say you want to, so let me tell you, I designed a website, a year ago. अभी तो बदल गई है. So I did by, myself. So I experimented a lot. I read a manual. I went on the website. ठीक है, नहीं मिला कुछ भी. Then I saw a small video. अभी भी नहीं बन रही है. तो आप कर करके खुद बनाते हो. ठीक है, या आपको कुछ रिसर्च प्रपोजल बनाना है. सो यू स्टार्ट टू डू इट. ठीक है, देन learn by exploring. Niti is saying like a teacher learns how to teach, Yes, it can be a good example that we also learn on by doing it. ठीक है, अभी मैंने पढ़ाया, मुझे समझ आया कि अच्छा देयर इज़ अ टेक्निकल इशू, अगली बार मैं इसको ठीक कर सकता हूँ, या मेरी पीपीटी में कुछ दिक्कत आ रही है कि फॉन्ट समझ नहीं आ रहे, या आई कैन मोर ऐड आई कैन ऐड मोर टीचिंग एड्स. सो ह्यूरिस्टिक इज द की वर्ड इज लर्निंग बाय डूइंग. ठीक है, it was proposed by Armstrong. It was one of the PYQ. It was proposed by who? So I mentioned it, but you cannot learn about the proponents of all the methods. If you want, you can learn. ठीक है, but I don't want to confuse you by giving all the names. इसका पूछा था इसलिए मैंने डाल दिया. Then it is learning by doing, encourages inquiry, curiosity, critical thinking. Students derive conclusion through self-guided exploration. ठीक है, often involves problem solving and research. Develops independent learning and problem solving skills, but the problem is that it requires self motivation. Everybody cannot do it. ठीक है, a lot of people. So new year is going to come, we are going to take a lot of new year resolution. ठीक है, I am going to learn this, I am going to learn this, but it requires a lot of self motivation. So during New Year, all these musical instrument shops or gym memberships, ठीक है, they gets flourished, but people don't start to lose motivation. You need to be self motivated, you need to be consistent in this method. It is little time consuming also because it depends on a trial and error. आप बार बार करोगे, गलतियाँ होंगी, उसको सुधारोगे. ठीक है, but it is very reflective method of teaching. People start to learn from their own experiences. Then differentiated instruction. This is a very inclusive learning strategy. ठीक है, what is it? So you have a group of, let's say, 10 students, and they have different capacities, they have different capabilities. Let's say you are a yoga instructor. ठीक है, best example, you are a yoga instructor, you have 10 people. So you have an elderly person who is 60 years old, then you have a kid who is 10 years old, then you have some young people. So everybody is young, ठीक है, but let's say you have people who are in their 20s. So you have to teach them yoga. Now you are going to give them instructions as per their need. So what a person in his or her mid 20s or let's say early 20s can do, that those poses shouldn't be experimented by the elderly people, और कमर वमर लचक जाएगी उनकी. ठीक है, और जो छोटा बच्चा होगा उसके लिए कुछ एक्सरसाइज होगी. तो आप एक ग्रुप में डिफरेंशिएटेड इंस्ट्रक्शंस दोगे. ठीक है, मॉडिफाई करोगे लर्नर्स के कैपेसिटीज़ के अनुसार, उनकी लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के अनुसार. सो डिफरेंशिएटेड इंस्ट्रक्शंस इन्वॉल्व्स मॉडिफाइंग टीचिंग मेथड्स, कंटेंट एंड असेसमेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज to address varying learning needs, readiness levels and interest of the students. It involves flexible grouping tasks and materials. ठीक है, कुछ एक्सरसाइज आप उन सबको साथ में भी करा सकते हो, बेसिक वार्म अप एक्सरसाइज हैं. ठीक है, वो साथ में कर रहे हैं सब. देन फोकसेस ऑन इंक्लूसिविटी. ठीक है, ये इट्स द की वर्ड, इंश्योरिंग ऑल स्टूडेंट सक्सीड. सो ऐसा नहीं हो कि आपने उनको ये बोल दिया कि चलो ये वाला पोज करके दिखाओ योगा का, या ये वाला आसन करके दिखाओ. सिर्फ जो लोग कर सकते हैं थोड़े से यंग है और बाकियों को बुरा लग रहा है, दे आर फीलिंग लेफ्ट आउट. नो, इट शुडंट बी कॉम्पिटिशन बेस्ड. इट्स वेरी इंक्लूसिव. सो इट accommodates diverse learning styles and abilities, enhances students engagement and achievements, builds a supportive learning environment. ठीक है, then flipped classroom, a very interesting concept. So here you जो पढ़ाई लिखाई का काम होता है ना, लर्निंग मटेरियल है, you give it to all of them. ठीक है, what you do that you give them all the learning material, you give them all the video lectures, you give all the books. आप पढ़ के आओ, क्लासरूम में आके हम डिस्कस करेंगे. ठीक है, so the flipped classroom is a teaching model that reverses teaching learning process. In this method, students study the instructional material, videos, readings at home before coming to class. So instead of you delivering the lecture, giving them educational material, you just give it before the classroom. ठीक है, आप क्या करते हो कि क्लासरूम से पहले ही सारा इंस्ट्रक्शनल मटेरियल कि आज हम ये पढ़ेंगे, ये आपके असाइनमेंट्स हैं, ये आपका पूरा लेक्चर है, ये इंस्ट्रक्शनल मटेरियल है, आप इसको पढ़ के आओ. इन द क्लासरूम वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट इट. ठीक है, सो students are provided with resources like videos, readings or podcasts to learn from the basics of topic at home. Classroom time is used for interactive activities such as group discussions, case studies और problem solving. Teacher's role वो क्या होता है? Facilitator होता है, वो इस सबको curate करता है, ठीक है. Then कुछ questions solve करते हैं. Make a video strategy compared. Okay, I'll make that video. So first question is, this was asked in December 2023. ठीक है, let us solve few questions, and I have also prepared a test which includes all the PYQs of last 6-7 years from this topic. You can also solve that on our application. It will be live today. So teacher-centered methods of teaching are more effective than learner-centered methods in promoting deep learning. Lecture methods involves the use of open-ended problems to encourage critical thinking and problem solving. So teacher centered method is not more effective. We have learned that कि जो students learner centered method होते हैं, they are more effective in promoting deep learning. Teacher centered methods are more for let's say a large number of people or for factual information where we have to deliver lecture. So this statement is wrong. Lecture method involves the use of open-ended problems to encourage critical thinking. What is lecture method? So lecture method is a teacher centered approach. ठीक है, the focus is on teacher, not on student. ठीक है, तो teacher centered method didn't promote critical thinking, it promote rote learning. So both the statements are incorrect. ठीक है, then so this question was asked in September 2020. From the following list of methods of teaching used in institution of higher learning, identify those which are learner centered. लर्नर सेंटर्ड कौन सी टेक्निक से सिंपल पूछ रहे हैं, ठीक है. लर्नर सेंटर्ड प्रोजेक्ट वर्क है, ठीक है. प्रोजेक्ट वर्क हमने डिस्कस नहीं करा, सो यू आई थिंक आई मिस्ड इट. लेट मी लुक एट इट. यस, प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग. स्टूडेंट्स वर्क ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट. आपने उनको कुछ प्रोजेक्ट दे दिया, कुछ मॉडल बना के लेके आओ, या कुछ भी रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है उसको सॉल्व करो, ठीक है. प्रोजेक्ट बना दिया आपने, आप उनको कह सकते हो कि सो यू कैन गिव देम अ प्रोजेक्ट इन विच दे हैव टू डिज़ाइन अ स्ट्रैटेजी, ठीक है. सो स्टूडेंट्स वर्क ऑन प्रोजेक्ट ओवर एन एक्सटेंडेड पीरियड टू एक्सप्लोर रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम्स. Students on applying knowledge, students focuses on applying knowledge rather than rote learning. It encourages teamwork, problem solving. So हमें बचपन में प्रोजेक्ट दिए जाते थे ना, खासकर जो मार्केटिंग के सब्जेक्ट होते हैं और बिजनेस स्टडीज़ के होते हैं, उसमें भी प्रोजेक्ट्स दिए जाते हैं. एक इससे रिलेटेड और कॉन्सेप्ट होता है विच इज़ प्रॉब्लम बेस्ड लर्निंग. सो यू गिव देम रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम. लेट्स से देयर इज़ अ बिजनेस, यू फाउंड दैट इस बिजनेस का ना रेवेन्यू गिरता जा रहा है, और देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ नॉट लेस रिटेंशन ऑफ कस्टमर्स का जो रिटेंशन है, जो एक बार खरीदता है वो वापस नहीं आ रहा. सो यू टेल देम यू गो एंड सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है. दिस इज प्रॉब्लम बेस्ड लर्निंग. सो ऑल्सो रिमेंबर दिस, ठीक है. देन chalk and talk, this is another, you can also relate it with lecture method only. So this is teacher centered. Lecturing, no lecture is teacher centered, so ये भी गलत है, ये भी गलत है. Computer aided instructions and simulation and role playing, ठीक है. So A and E, A D E, ठीक है. The right answer would be A, D and E. In student-centered approach, our teacher maximizes use of extrinsic rewards, encourages students to increase responsibility, uses appropriate teaching methods of effective learning teaching, tries to relate present with the past. So this is a very value-laden question. आपसे पूछ रहे हैं जो student-centric टेक्निक होती है, ठीक है, जो जिसके केंद्र में स्टूडेंट होता है, उसमें टीचर क्या करता है, मैक्सिमाइजेज यूज ऑफ एक्सट्रिंसिक रिवॉर्ड्स, ठीक है. उनको रिवॉर्ड करता है अगर उन्होंने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया. एनकरेजेस स्टूडेंट्स टू टेक इंक्रीज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ठीक है. क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग पे फोकस करता है. यूजेज अप्रोप्रिएट टीचिंग लर्निंग मेथड्स फॉर इफेक्टिव टीचिंग, ठीक है. Then teacher tries to relate present with the past. So the most appropriate answer would be encourages students to take increased responsibility. उनको independent बनाने की कोशिश करता है, ठीक है. So answer would be B. Then heuristic method of teaching was proposed by Armstrong, ठीक है. ये एक factual information है जो आपको पता है, मैंने आपको बता दिया इसके बारे में. The method revolves around terms finding problems, problem solving, self thinking, discovery, exploration. So both these statements are correct. ठीक है, it was given by, proposed by Armstrong, and this method is learning by doing. ठीक है, then एक क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे पूछ रहा था कि ये जो एकलव्य वाला मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया था, which teaching style is this? ठीक है, which teaching method is this? You should think about it and you can write about it in 1 or 2 लाइन. अगर सोचोगे तो आप थोड़ा और सोच पाओगे इस पूरे टॉपिक के बारे में. ठीक है, a simple question I am asking you that this particular incident, what kind of teaching method is this? ठीक है, so that was all. We shall meet in the next lecture. I hope you learned something new. If you found this lecture helpful, you can like this video. You can write to me in the comment box. If you have any doubt, I'll give you a prompt reply. Take care, bye. And I will also upload this PDF on our test series group for digital access. Take care, bye.